Hey everyone, Ben here and welcome to Spa, where I'm in a car that I've not driven for nearly a year and the green lights have gone. We're underway for a 20-minute fixed setup race here in the LMP3 trophy. We're heading towards La Source for the first time then, and already one driver has lost it. We're going to get through on the inside and gain one position there, and I'm hoping to gain more as the race progresses. But look up ahead, Harry Hermanitz is running very slow down the hill here. I'm going to get boxed in by Nathaniel Baker on my outside. I've got to let him go, and this has ruined my momentum. Up through Rouge and Radion, I'm going to come under big pressure now from Tim Seegert behind. He's going to have the inside line. Fortunately, I am going to get a bit of slipstream from Hermanitz. I'm not sure why he was running so slowly there, but that compromised me hugely as we get into Lacombe for the first time here, coming through the right left, and there's another big accident. Two cars off to the left hand side there. We are side by side with Tim Seegert. We're still side by side through the exit of the complex, and I'm able to get past him there. But let's take a look back at some of that action then. Immense, one of the lead drivers here, just turning in on De Souza at La Source there, and that has ruined his race. But speaking of De Souza, he would do a very similar thing at Lacombe, and that's going to cost him big time. Both drivers involved there spinning out and nearly joined by Piper. He had a huge near miss as he just carried too much speed into the corner there. That could have been a huge accident, but we're resuming the live action at the beginning of lap 2, and I've just made up another position up into P5 as Hermanitz once again was running slow there off the back of the chicane, so either dealing with a slowdown penalty of some kind or he's got technical issues. Either way, I am up into the top 5. Up ahead of me on lap 2, Baker was going to get past Jensen, so this is a move for P3, and it means that up ahead of me now I've got Rasmus Jensen to try and reel in here as we get onto the next racing lap. And I'm really now just trying to get comfortable in the cockpit. These cars are hugely fun to drive, but on the opening laps, especially with cold tyres and cold brakes, you really have to be quite gentle with your inputs. Very, very easy to lock a brake, and at that point you are going to understeer into oblivion. Very, very easy to get too wide, and then all of a sudden you're costing yourself seconds of time. Or alternatively, as we've seen throughout the field, very easy to get up on the curbs, unsettle the car and spin out as well. As we're heading into Lacombe again then, look up ahead and we've got another spinner. That is Jensen. He's out onto the right hand side there, and that's going to give me P4. So just as I was saying how difficult these cars can be to keep on the track, let's see it again here. Jensen following Baker through. He's just carried too much speed in, and yes, he's got up onto one of those curbs. It's unsettled the car, and look at this, he's going to rejoin right into the path of Seegert, and there is contact. Let's see if from Seegert's on board here. He's got no chance to react any more than he did. Let's see if he's got damage then as we rejoin just a little while later. I'm still then in P4. I have built a little bit of a gap to Seegert behind, and I'm just wondering whether I've got any chance of keeping pace with the top 3. If I'm going to manage it, I need to get my lap times down deep into the 2-minute 14s, preferably right the way down towards a 2:14 flat. I know the quickest drivers on this grid will be in the 2:13s. Now, there's no way I'm going to get that lap time in this race. If I were to try, I'd push too hard and I'd end up like a lot of the other drivers so far on this grid, in the barrier. So I've just got to get that balance right between pushing but also making sure I get the car to the finish. And speaking of just exactly that, Baker has made a mistake at the chicane. Another driver pushing too hard, trying to get as much pace out of his car as possible, but he's ended up spinning. Let's see it again then here as he comes through the chicane, and yes, once again it's those curbs just unsettling the car, and once he's lost it, he can't get it back. So now I'm up into P3, running in the podium spots, and as we get back on board, you can see I am slowly but surely just building into this race. I'm about to set my fastest lap of the race so far. You can see on the Delta I'm up by a couple of tenths of a second here as we're coming through to the second half of the lap, and everything is just becoming a little bit more natural in the cockpit. I've got my braking points spotted really nicely, crucially ensuring that I'm trail braking through some of these corners to just keep the front end pointed in, but giving the curbs plenty of respect as I do. The battle now is really to try and just build a gap between myself and the cars behind. There's no way I'm getting up into the top two unless one of those drivers makes a mistake, and hey, we can't rule that out based on what's happened so far, but I need to build a gap to the drivers behind. Baker will be recovering through this race, and actually it looks like Tim Seagert's got some good pace as well as we come through the chicane. Nailed those apexes very nicely there, and I am going to set my personal best lap time for the race so far, and actually a little bit later in the race I would go even quicker. But as I was setting those lap times, you can see the gaps had come down to the pack behind, but Tim Seagert would make a mistake late on in this race on lap 7, spin out, and that meant as we get through to the last lap of this race, I was basically in a shootout battle between myself and Nathaniel Baker, and Baker could not narrow the gap significantly enough to challenge for position for the end of the race. So I'm going to come through the chicane one last time, cross the start finish line in P3. So we started, remember, in P9, and I'm going to take a podium finish, and I didn't get a single incident point, which meant I get a good boost to my safety rating, to my I rating, and I get to take a virtual trophy home as well. As we see the full classified results there, then really enjoyed being back in this LMP3 trophy car. If you enjoyed the video, check out the one that's on screen. I think you'll really like it.